Greetings all. Happy Friday. All right, well, Bryce is first on my screen, so we can start with Bryce then.
Cool, yeah. I don't have a ton. I know last week I had like a slick demo. The demo was improved a little bit, but it's not really enough to be like a completely different demo. There's just, you can now filter by states, and I'm working on getting some more like time-based data that we can view, and then cleaning that up and making sure it's sort of like doing some quick research into like what privacy stuff we can do to make sure we're not like just giving whoever is looking into this dashboard just like they can view everything, sort of give them some sort of aggregate and some sort of like privacy levels to who's filing where and when and such, which I think I was gonna look at. I was gonna look at what the census is doing essentially, because they've done pretty similar things. So yeah, so and then after that, I think that should pretty well be wrapped up, and we can sort of post, like at least have it on our like real app server, and we'll get some small edits back and such. And then the other two things I've been doing a lot are bringing into the ECF standards, and sort of what Tyler Tech is expecting us to do for e-filing, which is going. It will take a while. And I've also been starting on the civil docketing form for the appeals court. I've have it all together. I just this morning got Adobe Acrobat working on my laptop, and so I will probably spend the rest of today trying to actually add those forms or add those fields to the PDFs. And then I guess after that, should I just like post in the Slack that for like a peer review of what the PDF looks like?
Yeah, so go ahead and create a Trello card. Do you already have a Trello card for it?
Yeah. I already have a Trello card and everything.
Yeah, so yeah, just follow the steps there, and I think the next one is after you. Well, I think you go through, give it a first pass on your.
I guess mostly how yeah. From what I remember, I don't have to tab.
Yeah, there's that you go through. You change the field names to meet the convention, and then you can get some feedback on that to make sure that you got the conventions right.
Gotcha. Okay, I wasn't sure how to go about peer review and.
Yeah, just ping the channel.
Cool. Okay. Sounds good.
All right, Kate, you're up next.
I don't have much. I'm meeting with one of the students like later today, but I've just been dealing with real work stuff this week.
Understandable. One thing that came up, Rochelle was asking us about 258Es. Is that right? Yeah.
Sounds right.
Sounds right. And so it sort of made me think we should think about what we want to do for, and I bring this up just because I know you've talked about it before. But that's something we might want to think about, like what resources we might want to dedicate to that and how we might do that if we did want to dedicate resources. So just something to bring up.
We got interest from 2 people, Court Service Center staff, who were interested in being the SMEs on that. When we talked about it before.
Yeah, and I remember
who they are, but we could probably.
And I remember some emails from back when we did the original. I'm having a number of problems today.
They were interested in enough that they were saying, yeah, I'll work on it. And I can't remember who it was. So yeah.
Was it Victim Rights Law Center or was it Court Service Center?
It was Court Service Center. I think it might have been. I think it was your person at Court Service Center, Kate.
Kristen Parent.
Yeah, I think it was Kristen Perry. I'm not 100%.
Parent, yeah.
But there were two. I remember there were 2 people. So that would be great.
I think that one of the things we might want to consider I'm still waiting to hear back from the court, although they have actually said that someone's looking at it and that they will get back to me. So I don't think they've entirely forgotten about it. But I do think we could probably benefit from, if the court doesn't do something for a while, we could benefit from a publicity push and some education, community education, because I'm not sure how many folks are using it.
The 258E or the 209A?
The 258.
209A, you mean, right?
290, yeah. I'm mixing numbers up.
They use them all the time.
Yeah, that's
You mean how many people are using our form?
yeah,
Or do you mean our
Quentin?
version?
using our forum. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Right. Sorry. Misunderstood.
We got
So,
some really nice feedback. I don't know if you saw, but I put it on
Yeah,
Twitter.
we got some good feedback.
Oh, I didn't see that yet.
Yeah,
They like
somebody said, oh, the digital version's so much easier to use than the other version.
and less scary. I thought
Less
that was
scary, even better.
Oh, that's even better. Yeah, so we should capitalize on that and get people to work with that.
Maybe that's, we're doing this outreach, that thing, that digital ecosystem
Digital
thing.
ecosystem, yeah.
So maybe that would actually be some content to be pushing for the outreach, because when you do outreach, and as Charisse was saying, you want to, I'm not sure I agree with her about your outreach depends on what your substantive stuff is, to the extent that she mentioned it. But I think when you actually have a piece of content you want to push, then you can use that in all kinds of ways. What's our plan about translation for that? Or are we going to work with it?
Well, we need
more
to figure out where it's when it's stable, and then once
Okay.
the language is stable, we can
Okay.
translate. I mean, I'm hoping
We don't necessarily have any funding for that, but we might be able to get some Spanish language translation done.
Right, from OCIS maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like it's this wonderful product that has sort of paused in its launchiness because of the court's relationship with it. And I'd like to get some clarity on where the court stands and move forward in whatever direction is going to be. As I expressed in some earlier calls, though, the success we've been having with the appeals court, I think, has gotten the trial court to be a little more interested. So I think we can, it's a virtuous cycle. So hopefully we can take that and build on it to at least get them to say one way or the other sort of what they think about it, and hopefully engage with us some more. But yeah, so that's just something to think about. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack your time there, Kate.
No, that's fine.
Then,
Figuring out DocuSign in the background.
Speaking of DocuSign, Michelle has reworked most of their functionality, so it's a great segue to Michelle.
It's done already. It's old news now. It still needs work, but worked with some students, worked on testing stuff. Not a lot of progress on a lot else this week. Enjoying Quentin's code every now and then.
And you should know that my students are saying wonderful things about you, Michelle.
Good to hear.
So I had a meeting with someone yesterday, and he was like, well, he was singing your praises. So thank you.
That is lovely. Yeah, you're welcome. I don't know. It's an easy part of the day to just hang out with people and talk about code. And especially like people new to it. They're like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I know, isn't it magical? Like, you can do so much magic when this stuff is new to people. Yeah, I think other than that, just working on life day by day.
Cool. Lily?
I don't have any questions. Right now, I'm doing some experiments with the wizard, trying to make it like download a package instead of just a single file, so that it can install into your new playground. And also, like add a package file instead of including the basic questions. We include the package file. But I don't want to get into details. I will have some questions for Quentin maybe on Monday. But that's what I'm doing now.
All right, cool. Well, having mentioned Quentin, it works out so nicely that he is next in the blocks. And I don't know why I'm doing like this active segue, like we're on a podcast or something, but to Quentin.
So I've been working on this document and addendum code. It's pretty exciting. I think it's going to really be so much neater than the stuff we were doing before. And it will make it easier for us to like add the affidavit of indigency and a notice of interpreter to all of our existing forms. I think it'll be really nice if we can get that working. And for the future, I don't think we have to redo any of the addendum code that works, but for the future, it will make addenda easier to work with too. And the ecosystems meeting yesterday, that was really, really great to think about. Caroline, you had mentioned the 30A package. That's something that we've been thinking about off and on as a Lit Lab project.
Oh, really?
That's one possible project to think about. 258E sounds like another possible project to think about. That's going to be a big collaboration one. And then finally, I think we have, at least in my class, there were a ton of people who worked on housing forms, but none of them are really releasable in the current state that they're in. So that feels like another project, which is kind of collecting those housing forms and making a package. And then maybe I can stop updating the hot docs eviction defense system. That's because I really hate when people are like, hey, can you add my name and address there, which has been happening. So I see those as 3 projects to think about balancing that might be interesting to do in the next 8 months.
So yeah, we should actively think about, so it looks like the lab students are taking shape for next semester. And this last semester, they basically did the appeals court stuff. Next semester, we're gonna have 3 law students, 1 undergrad computer science student, and 2 business school students. But they're business school students in the whatever analytics something or other concentration. So they'll come with some like business not quite data science background, but more, business analysis sort of background and some technical skills. I'm not quite sure yet. I have to talk to them individually to see what their skill sets are. So we might want to think about project explicitly that we would like those lab students to work on. For the spring semester. So it sounds like all the projects Quentin mentioned plus the appeals court are all, I think, candidates. I think appeals makes a certain amount of sense. Continuing with appeals makes a certain amount of sense because there will be carryover. Mia's going to continue in the lab, so she was working on that already. But it might be that there are some skill sets in that group that would work nicely with coordinating with other people in new outreach and stuff. So we might actually be able to involve the lab students in things like outreach and engaging with community in a way that we haven't used them before. And so that's things to think about. And that might be pushing the 209A or working with people on the 258E or those sort of things. So I just want people to sort of know that those are resources we'll have available and we should think about how we want to use them.
That would be fantastic. And because the other thing is whenever I've worked with students before, they really want to get out. We have to think about doing it safely, but they want to get out in the community. They want to have direct contact with the people that are using our stuff. And that's always frustrating for them if they're just doing coding or sat at a computer or something. So that might be something that would be rewarding for them and would be extremely valuable to us.
Yeah, and it's nice to just have a different mix of the kind of things that people are doing in the lab too. So this last semester was just mostly straight coding, so it'll be nice to have that.
Yeah, so it's interesting because the skill sets are such that we can go a little deeper on coding with the CS student, for example. So Bryce, we might have them work with you on some of the stuff you're doing. And then the business school folks might be, better at interfacing with folks, and as well as the law students. So just, yeah, possibilities. It's that wonderful point at the end of one semester before the other one begins when you think everything is possible before reality comes in. Yeah, Michelle. Hope you're still.
Sorry, I forgot because I was planning on Luke saying this, but he's not here. So Luke and I finished the review screen for the 209A motion to modify and handed it off to, I don't remember how to pronounce her name always, Makala, to do a review and videotape herself going through the form. So we'll see how that goes too. But at some point soon, we have a few things to fix up in the code, and then it's ready for review or whatever is next, whatever the next step is.
Cool.
Sorry, but yeah, it sounds interesting, this new cohort. Maybe some of the business students want to learn some project management.
Some of them may already have some. That was one of the things that I think might be a possible set of skill sets. I'm not sure who the two are, particularly who. That was one of the things we talked about when I talked with the person at the business school. They have handpicked 2 people that they think would be interested in the work. And they will be like the other lab students, so they'll only be like 1 day a week worth of time. So, 7 hours a week time, but that's
It's hard to project manage at 1 day a week, but yeah.
But they collectively then, that makes them, we have a little more than a week, we have a little more than a FTE, I suppose, as a way to think about it, because there are more than 5 of them. So, I missed the signing.
FTE, sorry, I'm sorry. FTE, what is FTE?
Full-time employee. So 35 hours of work a week.
Got it.
Or 40, depending upon where you are. Or 80 in some places. But I like to think 35 hours. That's how much time people should be working.
One summer,
I'm trying to remember the last time I
90.
worked 35 hours in a week.
Yeah, geez, come on.
All right. Quentin, did you have more there?
Nope, that's pretty much it. Just thinking ahead for like still thinking about how to organize something like that, where different students are working on adapting code and they may not have any prior experience with code, which is obviously a little more challenging starting from scratch. But maybe making it a class project that we do as the learning tool that we over a couple of weeks, and not expect them to work on it independently outside of class. I'm not sure.
The nice thing I like about the lab students is we can really explicitly have them be teams, work in a team environment. Other than the individual student projects, they tend to be a little more atomistic, even if they are projects, just because everyone's sort of scheduling is a little different to work on a final project at the end. But like you said, making it an explicit class project in time might be helpful as well.
Yeah.
I actually have a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Quentin.
No, it was.
You're on the same topic. Go ahead. I'm slightly tangential. So
well, I was just saying, this semester, most of my students did not want to do a group project, but last semester they all did a group project. So I'm curious about what the difference was there. That was all. Not too relevant to anybody else.
Yeah.
I found that scheduling was very difficult for students this year. It both was and wasn't, like because you could just jump on a Zoom call with people, but also then people, I don't know if they overfilled their times, or I don't know.
I mean, there was a big difference between this year and last year.
Although
one very distinct.
I guess they had picked their
difference.
projects before COVID. That's a good point. They'd already decided to form into those teams, so that maybe is the difference. They finished them during COVID, so
it might have also. There's also something to be said for knowing your teammates and picking your team based upon knowing folks and the ability to get to know folks in non-COVID versus COVID times. We could just theorize all day about that.
Yeah, we really could. So I had a bit of a when I go with students through some of the coding work, I often am thinking like, should I teach them how to use this particular attribute of this object? So like in this particular case, you could make this an object and then use these attributes of the object, right? Versus this is how you might troubleshoot a problem like this if you're not sure how to approach it, right? If you don't know that this is this attribute, if you don't know that an attribute exists or that an object, right? Like how do you discover solutions if you're and I think over the summer it was more of a, let's show you what attributes there are so you can get this form done. Some of this semester it felt like sometimes it was more appropriate to say, this is how you solve a problem that you're struggling with.
Yeah, I think that
learning coding or
I think generalizable skills is really what we want a lot of people to walk away with. There was definitely an urgency at the beginning of the project where we wanted to get stuff out the door to help people. I think we can, we're supposed to be in that manageable phase where we can take our time to learn things, and especially for the students who are doing it for credit, which I recognize everyone here is just volunteering to help with them, which is why it was really amazing and great to hear your name come up so often from my students. Michelle, I just felt
It's
so
the
lucky.
next generation, people. Got to bring them up right.
But yeah, so I think to the extent that there's time and you're willing, the more general I think is the better experience for them,
Okay.
given their expectations, or at least our expectations for what
Okay.
they should, our expectations for what their expectations should be. I know sometimes
That was
people,
my sense as well. I just realized I hadn't checked in with that. So, okay.
I'd also say like there, you don't have to worry about like, oh, am I giving away the ball? Like, right. Like we don't try to
That's true.
hide. So if you're ever feeling like, oh, I can't say this because they're a student, I'm doing their homework for them. I don't
Yeah.
think that you don't have to be worried about that.
Yeah,
Sure.
I entirely second that.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
All right, Caroline, you probably knew it, but you're up next. The mute button's hiding. There we go.
Okay. I kept clicking on everything that wasn't mute. Unmute. So I helped. Well, you know, I did Adriana's review last week. I got her in touch with Kelly, my friend. Then I did Trevor's review this week, and I'm supposed to do plain language on somebody at sanitary code, whoever's doing the sanitary code.
Michael Cronin?
Mike, yeah.
Yeah, so it's Mike. Yeah, right. So I'm supposed to do a plain language review for him, and I probably won't get to it till this weekend.
He doesn't have to turn it in until next Thursday.
Yeah, so I think I think that's it. And I've been thinking when I'm not sat down at my computer in the house, thinking again about this, going back to the style guide and getting that completed. But I had a crisis last week. Both Wednesdays, I ended up spending the whole day on something that was not part of my schedule. Something really stupid, but
always how it is. All right, then I think that sort of catches us up with stand up. I'm just I don't know. It's worth saying every once in a while, so I'll just say it. I appreciate you guys, and I really like this community, and thank you all for your time and your contributions. And I think we're helping people, and that's great. All right. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything else, or if we just move into Casual Friday a little early. Casual Friday it is.